All right, Dalton?
Yeah, you?
Still checking that white girl? What's her name? Susan?
No. You still with that Susan? You mean you're actually still with Susan? We are talking about Susan, right?
Yes, Sandra, I am. And her name's Sean, not Susan.
Oh, yes. Sean. Sometimes Miss Stupid, you know.
So why don't you lot say what you're saying, instead of trying to act a comedian then? If you got anything sensible to say, that is.
Who rattled your cage, Junior? Anyway, personally, I've got lots to say, Junior, trust me. But certain people in this room wouldn't like it, so maybe it's best I keep my mouth shut.
Hey Desiree, congratulations. That's probably the most sensible thing any of you's gonna say all night.
All right then, I've got something to say, but I want to ask Dalton a question first. You see, what I don't understand about you, Dalton, is that you're a good-looking black guy, Dalton. You got a good job, you drive a nice car, got a nice little pad, and you ain't nowhere near being a care in the community case. Not yet, anyway. So why'd you go get yourself involved with Susan? Oh, me sorry, Sean.
Why are you asking me that? Because she's a white girl, innit?
So then half idiot has to get her pennies worth in, because she can't go too long without hearing the sound of her own voice, you know? But all the sad little midget could come up with was a one-liner she remembered from some BBC Two comedy.
White babe.
Well, that just set Dalton off. Set him off, if you catch my meaning. Just like the rest of us in the room, Dalton flitted between standard patois, standard English and Cockney in some kind of linguistic twilight zone.
You see, you, and even you and you. It's women like uno, women like you, why you would never find me dealing with a black woman again.
Well, who told him to say that? I just winced when those words came out of his mouth because I knew. I just knew that you couldn't say something like that in a room full of black women and a half idiot and expect to get away with it. Timid Eileen, she'd been quiet up to now, but her ears had pricked up straight away when he said that.
What do you mean when you say woman like you? Woman like uno, eh?
I mean what I say. Woman like uno, women like you's lot. You don't understand? You black women got too much attitude, or should I say, too much bad attitude for my taste.
If I'm gonna be honest, I felt like laughing myself, but I didn't. Because he's my brethren, you know what I mean? And a bro can kind of get vexed and upset if you diss his woman, even in the best of humour. And although everyone was smiling, you could tell there was some tension behind the talk. It was kind of personal after all, but there was a kind of half smile on Dalton's face when he looked up. And I was just about to change the subject before it came to uncomfortable when, yes, you've guessed, Bloody Mackie puts his foot in it again. But he's not the kind of guy who'll just put his foot in it. Not Mackie. Nah, he has to squelch his size 11s around until he's up to his neck in it all.
I don't know about you, Dalton, but my tongue's for tasting food and talking and nothing else. You know that old saying, a man should never eat under table. Nah, man. Damn.
As for you, Mackie, I'll just excuse you because you don't know any better. Anyway, that's a laugh coming from you. The only guy I know who lives on a staple diet of kebabs. Bear this in mind for future reference, Mr. Mackie. When you are nyamming those kebabs, you don't even know what animal the meat in it come from, let alone what part of the animal you're eating. Yeah, that's right. Cha! For all you know, you've probably nyammed a horse already and enjoyed it. Or even the local tomcat with onions and extra chili sauce in kebab bread to us. As for you women, me ready for you now, eh? See, that's what it all boils down to with you black women. Sex. Yeah, that's right. I shouldn't have to spell it out to you. S-E-X. Sex. You lot just can't bear to think that any other woman might actually be getting something that you lot might not be getting, and that she probably deserves it more than any of you. The thing is that you lot don't know your history, do ya?
No, Dalton, I think that you're the one who doesn't know his history. Anyway, is nasty you're nasty or nasty you're nasty? Or both?
What you lot don't realise is that sex between the races is a natural thing, man. It's even in the Bible. It's been going on since Samson and Delilah.
Yeah, and look what it did to Samson.
Anyway, you black women, you're always vexed. She ain't got none of you lot's bad attitude. None of it. I mean, I get in from work in the evening and my tea's on the table. So I can just sit down and eat. Which black woman do you know who's gonna have me tea on the table when I get home, eh?
Tea? You're right there, Dalton. None of us black women's going to have your tea on the table. Seems to me that you've forgotten that there ain't no such thing as a meal called tea in a black person's yard. But you come home from work and she have your tea pan table. Boy, Dalton, you need waking up.
You're chatting nonce.
Sure. Anyway, white women ain't got no bad attitude. What's a white woman got to be vexed about? Everything's set up for them. They don't have to have all the qualifications, but them still get the job. They get all the promotions at work. You see them every day in the newspapers, in the glossy magazines. They don't have to be able to sing to get a song in the charts. You turn on the television, they're in all the adverts. You think we don't spend money in the shops? I swear sometimes when you watch those adverts, it's as though they're trying to tell us that we don't count.
But you can't blame them. This is England, man. The adverts have got to reflect that. Besides, it's not who's in the adverts that's important. The important thing is that the products you see advertised on the box are for everyone.
Oh yeah. Which black woman do you know who can? Washango.
You look like you did.
I'll only allow you that one because you're my little brother and I used to change your shitty nappies. Don't you lot start getting any bright ideas about taking libs with me. Oh.
Yeah, Dalton, which black person do you know who actually thinks that success on a plate is nothing but a mess on a plate?
Yeah, it's true. Last black woman Dalton went out with boxed the man in his head, you know.
Were you fastening a man's business, huh? Leave the brother alone. There ain't nothing wrong with him and Sign doing a thing. Skin ain't what it's all about, you know. So what if she's right and he's black? So what?
Anyway, I was determined to keep out of it. There was no way on earth I was going to get myself mixed up in this argument. I was just going to have a laugh. And when the last of them went home that evening, I was just going to close my front door and sigh a sigh of relief. Remember, I was living with Miss Argumentative at that time. So there was no way I was going to take sides on any woman-man argument. Yeah, I just closed the front door when they were gone, and that would be that.
So, how come you're jumping to Dalton's defence so strong? Hey, Junior? You ain't doing the same thing as old Dalton over there, are you?
No.
So you're still with that redskin girl with the Indian hair then?
The stupid girl's gone and left him.
Fuck you, Mackie, man. How can you go and chat me fucking business like that, man?
Cool, no, man? Damn. Ain't no big deal anyway. Loads of girls have left me. Ain't done me no harm. In fact, I'd say it's made me what I am today.
What, Matty? You mean that's what turned you stupid? At last! At last, I know why you like you are! This woman turned you fool! Anyway, Junior, why she leave you? She catch you with her next woman!
Now, Junior, now you mean she actually caught you? You know, in bed with another woman?
Nah, she never actually caught me in bed with anyone. Not actually in bed. I might as well tell you, because Mac is probably going to tell everyone anyway.
The key word there, my friends, is yeah. It's funny though. The boy I get catch, not doing anything yet. And him girlfriend gone left him. Always say it's the quiet ones you gotta watch.
At least I ain't playing around with my mate's woman behind his back.
Now the penny didn't quite drop at first, you know. It took a little while for it to sink in. Do you remember how I told you earlier that we were Mackie's only friends? So while the conversation between Dalton, sensible Sandra, timid Eileen, John Jotite Desiree, Junior, Mackie, Phillip and Arthedia went on the women's favourite topic of how all the black men are the same, well, the mathematics of it all started to sink in. If we were Mackie's only friends and Junior's girl had left him and Phillip had split up with his, then whose woman was he messing around with? But nobody else seemed to pick up on it. It's funny, but for the first time I noticed how quiet misargumentative my girl had been all evening. Usually she'd have been in the thick of this kind of argument. Usually she'd have been in the thick of any kind of argument. In fact, normally she was the kind of woman who could start an argument in an empty room. Nah, it couldn't be her. I started to think to myself, nah, no way. And then I caught the conversation. You see, Mackie couldn't help himself. Remember I told you before that he always managed to put his foot in it? Well, he managed to do it again, didn't he? And remember how I told you how sharp these women were? And that you couldn't expect to get away with saying certain things in a room full of women and a half-idiot? The thing is, by this time, Mackie had started boasting about sex, about how him and his girl were at it all the time, like he was some kind of stamina daddy.
Yeah, man. Me and this girl have it all over the place. All the time, Dread. Damn. In the bathroom, in the hallway, in the living room, in the kitchen, anywhere.
Boy, Mackie, you're nasty. You're nasty bad. You mean to say you had sex in the kitchen? I'd never eat at your place, man.
No, it wasn't at my place. It was at hers. And to be honest, I wouldn't eat round there anyway. She can't cook. Damn, the girl don't even rinse her plates when she washes up.
Well, who told him to say that in a room full of sharp women and a half-idiot? All of a sudden, you could have heard a pin drop. It went so quiet. And then, out of the blue, came half-idiot Marcia's voice.
White babe, white babe.
All hell broke loose, friend. Everybody laughing except Mackie. Well, except Mackie and Dalton. And come to think of it, Junior was a bit quiet too. I suppose because his business had been blurted out for all and sundry to hear it. As for Phillip, he didn't laugh, but that was just out of some misplaced sense of fraternal solidarity. So when I say everybody was laughing, what I really mean is all the women were laughing. And to be honest, I felt like laughing myself, but I didn't, because them's my brethrens, you know what I mean? On top of that, I picked up on something that none of the rest of them had sussed. Like I said before, we were Mackie's only friends. And if Junior's girlfriend had left him, like Mackie said she had, and Phillip was split up with that girl Mackie had said was so ugly, well, that meant that me and Dalton were the only ones left who actually had girlfriends. And if Mackie was messing around with one of his mates' girlfriends, like Junior said he was, and if the girl he was playing around with was a white babe, which meant there was no way he was messing with my girl, Miss Argumentative, who was certainly a black woman, well, let's say, so far as I could see, Mackie'd been cooking in Dalton's kitchen, if you get my meaning.
Leave him. Let him sleep until we've tidied up.
You know when they'd all eventually left that evening, or at least most of them, Miss Argumentative actually apologised to me for our argument earlier that day. She said she was glad to be with me, said I was keeping it real, said I was a positive guy. Then she said something like,
The thing with us black people is that nowadays you don't see our chains, but we're still wearing them.
She never told me why she said it, and at the time I was just shocked that she'd apologised in the first place and paid me a compliment in the same breath. Cha, oh yeah. But now, when I think about it, I suppose she could have been having a go at my friends, or maybe she was having a go at her own friends. Why? Well, think about it. Make up your own mind. And if you do start to think about it, then perhaps this isn't the end of the story. It may just be the beginning.